his 4-year contract that pays him an average of $44 million a year. The Clippers issued a strong statement denying the allegations. The NBA has launched an investigation. The NFL regular season kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys are in Philly to take on the defending Super Bowl champions. 5:20 p.m. kickoff on NBC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, 2 conversations. Up first, it's Thursday, so it's usually Smiley and West at the top of the hour, but Dr. West is on travel today, so it affords me the opportunity for a dialogue with another good brother, the president and CEO of the Hip Hop Caucus, Reverend Lennox Yearwood. Here's the question: what are the environmental lessons of Hurricane Katrina for people of color 20 years later? We'll unpack that on the top side of Hour 2. On the B side of Hour 2, a conversation with the executive editor for The Nation magazine, John Nichols. Here's the question for John: how do Democrats regroup or rebrand, if you will, facing the crossroads of progressivism versus moderate appeal? Progressivism versus moderate appeal. That fight is long-standing, but showing up in acute ways right about now. Talk about that on the B side of Hour 2 with John Nichols. In our third hour, a conversation with social psychologist and lecturer at the Harvard Kennedy School, Robert Livingston, about his new text, Play the Game, Change the Game, Leave the Game, Pathways to Black Empowerment, Prosperity, and Joy. That in Hour 3. But in this first hour today, let's talk politics with the host of the Danielle Moodie Show on YouTube, Danielle Moodie. Danielle also co-hosts 2 other programs as the World Churns and Democracyish. Great names, as the World Churns and Democracyish. Danielle, welcome back. How are you today?
I am okay. How are you doing, Tavis?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm doing well and always delighted to be in conversation with you. I was walking literally down the hallway into the studio trying to figure out where am I going to start this first hour. There is so much drama today. There is every day, but today so much. I don't even know where to begin. I think I'm going to start with this. So I was on the air the other day when the news broke that one of the lower courts had ruled that Donald Trump invading Los Angeles, where I sit, was illegal. I suggested then when that news broke that this might be good news for Chicago and Baltimore and the other cities on Donald Trump's hit list for invasion. Might be good for them. A little too late for us here in Los Angeles, but again, I'm rooting for everybody black and for all these black mayors that are on, again, Donald Trump's list of cities that he might try to occupy. I thought it might bode well for them. And so here comes the news today. Two things with regard to that. One is that Donald Trump has decided maybe not Chicago, a Democrat-controlled state. J.B. Pritzker, the governor, and Brandon Johnson, the mayor, had a press conference, 2 days ago, stood together at a press conference, made it abundantly clear they're ready for the fight, particularly after this ruling. So they're ready to fight him coming into Chicago. And so now he's decided maybe not Chicago, maybe we'll invade New Orleans. It ain't enough that 20 years ago we left folk to die on rooftops in Katrina. So at the very moment where we're commemorating Katrina 20 years ago, Donald Trump decides that maybe I should go to New Orleans. Why? Glad you asked, because New Orleans has a Republican governor who has welcomed publicly already Donald Trump bringing in the National Guard and the military into New Orleans. So the pushback he's getting in Illinois, he will not get in Louisiana. That's the secondary story, which we'll get to with Danielle in a second here. But the news of the hour is that the city of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the district, has sued the Trump administration over illegal deployment of National Guard's troops in Washington. Here again, what I expected, that these cities might be emboldened by this lower court ruling. SCOTUS will have the final say, of course. But now we see D.C. Filing a lawsuit arguing that what Donald Trump has done and is doing in D.C. is illegal, and they're at it now. Now, it's fascinating for me, Danielle, because Muriel Bowser, who I like, has been sort of schizophrenic on this. One day she's saying things that make Trump smile, and the next day they're filing lawsuits. So how do I read this latest development? How do you read it?
I mean, I read it as I've been waiting on this lawsuit because after the Los Angeles lawsuit came up in the favor of Newsom and the state, it is clear that Donald Trump is going around terrorizing blue cities and blue states because he's on a tour of retribution. Mm-hmm. He told us this on the campaign trail. He said that he was going to weaponize government against those that had the audacity to vote against him. I think that what Gavin Newsom and others have brought up is that you're going after cities that have historically low crime rates. I think that Washington, D.C. is at a 30-year low. Chicago at a 32-year low. Washington, D.C., 30-year low. And so for me, with regard to Muriel Bowser, I feel like she is a mayor that is uniquely situated because of where D.C. falls in terms of, like, the power of the federal government. Sure. And so I feel like she had to play kind of nice as opposed to being fully emboldened the way Pritzker and the mayor are, because of the fact that, like, they're saying very unequivocally, we don't want you, we don't need you, we're at a historic low, whereas Muriel Bowser, because of where D.C. is positioned, doesn't really have that level of independence backing her. Yeah,
she doesn't have that level of independence, and yet it hasn't stopped their elected attorney general inside the district from filing late yesterday this lawsuit claiming that what Donald Trump is doing in the nation's capital is an illegal deployment. More on that and a great deal more to cover as we move through this hour of Tavis Smiley with Danielle Moodie.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Fabric Talk. Hello, my love. I am your living room carpet. I see everything. I feel everything. After a while, I smell like everything, including Sir Pickles, who you snuggle with while binging that dating show you can't stop watching. So, how about we freshen things up with Febreze Fabric Spray? Oh, and a big spray for my pals, couch and ottoman. Ah, yes, refreshing. Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Danielle Moodie, host of the Danielle Moodie Show on YouTube. No naivete here with this question, Danielle, as I often say, but to what end is Donald Trump, to use your word, terrorizing these blue cities, oftentimes in blue states, but not always? But to what extent? I mean, what's the terrorizing about? I mean, what's the end game here? Is it? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have said this often that I believe that the end game is full authoritarian rule. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump wants to provoke the people in these cities that he's going after to fight back so that he can say, this is why we need martial law, and then he shuts down the Constitution, and him and Pete Hegseth and his sycophants, go on for a full-on power grab. While silencing dissent under the guise of safety. And this is what they have been doing. They've been, L.A. was a test case. Washington, D.C., another test case. How far can I go, right? And so it'll depend on what the Supreme Court, which has been MAGAfied, decides to do. They've already given Donald Trump full immunity. So to say, now the president can do absolutely anything that they want despite states' powers, we'll see, because conservatives have lined the path of states' rights over decades. So for Donald Trump now to be going into these states unprovoked and unwanted is going to be a test of whether or not the conservatives believe in states' rights, or they only believe in states' rights when it purports to help red states. But I think that Donald Trump is out for a full authoritarian power grab, and he's doing it city by city.
Just a quick pivot here, since you mentioned Pete Hegseth. This story of them blowing up this boat and then being so brazen and just bragging about it. I mean, what's your read of this?
Oh, the read of that to me is, again, if you remember, it was like 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump is sitting in his tacky Oval Office with Zelensky, and he says to Zelensky, oh, you were able to cancel elections because you're at war? So you mean that if in 3.5 years America is at war, we can cancel elections?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office. Anybody can go and pull that tape. He said it in the Oval Office to Zelensky, and of course everybody sitting there laughed, right, thinking like, oh, ha, 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 isn't that interesting? No, that's the plan. So Donald Trump is going around. If he can't provoke people domestically, he's going to try and provoke the international community, because at the end of the day, he's after a full power grab.
I was reading a piece last night in preparation for our conversation today, and the piece was delving directly and pretty powerfully into the point you just raised now, Danielle, this notion that Trump could be thinking about canceling elections. Now, he always says the quiet part out loud, so we don't need to think, we don't need to imagine, rather, what Donald Trump is thinking, because, again, he always says the quiet part out loud. We heard him say weeks ago that he wants to figure out a way to cancel mail-in ballots. So he doesn't want you to he doesn't want you to vote by mail anymore. Then, to your point, your brilliant point, he makes that comment with Zelensky in the Oval Office, and so this creeping authoritarianism, as you put it, and this notion that we can do away with mail-in ballots, and if we're at war, we can cancel an election. He's increasingly sounding these alarm bells, or what ought to be alarm bells for Democrats. And to your point, oftentimes Trump says things, and I think because democracy, I'm putting that in air quotes because, as I always say, I think there's an experiment in democracy. I'm not sure we're all the way there yet. Matter of fact, I know we aren't. It's an experiment. But the point is that Donald Trump is making all these comments, sounding all these alarm bells that Democrats ought to be hearing, and yet sometimes I think we sort of laugh that off because we have seen democracy hold for as long as it has held, and none of us can really imagine the kind of authoritarianism that we see in places around the world right now, and we've seen historically. We are the United States of America, and again, I think we have this notion that democracy just won't allow for that could never happen here, even as we see it happening in real time with all the moves that Donald Trump is making. So back to your point about people sort of laughing off this notion that he can do away with mail-in ballots, that we could essentially cancel an election, that they're going to try to find a way with the help of the Supreme Court for him to run for a third term, that is. We sort of laugh this off, and I think, like you think, that that's the wrong approach.
Yeah, I think that it's a dangerous approach to think that anything that Donald Trump is doing and saying right now is anything other than a serious authoritarian power grab. I mean, there are armed troops in Washington, D.C., walking around on the streets there, and there are no protests that are happening. There is no violence that is happening there. He just decided, I'm rolling tanks out at Union Station. Like, so for folks to still be sitting in their homes or in their minds and thinking to themselves like, oh, it can't happen here because democracy will hold. Democracy is not like a force unto itself. Mm-hmm. It's only as powerful as the people who are vigilant and protect democracy and protect the rule of law are. And so we've seen over the last decade of Donald Trump, the erosion that has happened in our Congress, in our courts, right? So this man now is just all out saying and doing exactly what it is that he said that he would do. And so for people to still think that, oh, we're going to have midterm elections or a presidential election in 2028 is wild to me. And it means that you just truly are not paying attention.
To this notion of Donald Trump expanding his authoritarian rule I mentioned moments ago, let me come to that right now, that Donald Trump has put Chicago perhaps on the back burner and maybe moving into New Orleans instead. New Orleans is in, of course, Louisiana, a red state with a Republican governor, Jeff Landry. And so I quote from Donald Trump, "We're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago or do we go to a place like New Orleans where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad?" So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana. Pardon Donald Trump's bad English. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana. Close quote. That's your president. I come back to this because it makes the point that Danielle has laid out quite nicely, that you see examples every day of this creeping authoritarianism. But I also raise it because we now know on the other side of what happened here in L.A. that Trump's now federal court mandated or federal court ruling illegal National Guard deployment in L.A. cost taxpayers $120 million. $120 million is what it cost here in L.A. I have no idea at the moment what it's costing in D.C., but I can look at these numbers and imagine what it would cost in New Orleans, what it would cost in Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. Now, no naivete here again, but it appears that nobody in Washington, Republicans, who are always talking about a balanced budget, et cetera, nobody seems to care or raise the issue of the cost to taxpayers for these Donald Trump excursions. That's a lot of money. And you're doing it city after city after city, and nobody in the Republican Party or elsewhere is raising the issue of what it's costing taxpayers for Donald Trump to engage these invasions. Danielle?
Oh, because they don't care, Tavis. You know, it only matters to balance the budget, and apparently the deficit only matters when it's a Democrat that is in office. Otherwise, they don't care. You just saw that the bill that Donald Trump just passed, his billionaire tax break bill, is going to cost us $7 to $9 trillion worth of debt in order to give the rich more money, right? So, they don't care. They're not fiscally responsible, because when you look at any of Republicans that have been in power, they run up the deficit, a Democrat comes in, balances the budget, and then we go through that cycle over and over and over again. But Donald Trump is actually the worst offender, because we're seeing where our money is going. It's going so that he can go golfing. It's going so that he can, look like a tough guy to other authoritarians. That's what it's going towards, and they can't tell us with a straight face, oh, this is for your national security, this is for your safety. No, it is for their pompous king. That's what it's for.
Yep. So Ronald Brownstein, who I love and respect for many years at the LA Times, now I think is, I'm not sure what Ron's doing these days, but I still see his writings, and I see him pop up on television from time to time. I need to call Ron, get him on this program. That said, he made a powerful argument the other day that I hadn't really thought about in the way that Ron laid it out, Daniel. I want to take your temperature on this. So you recall, just not that long ago in the 2024 elections, the line that Democrats kept running that obviously did not succeed, didn't work, Donald Trump won. The line they ran was that Donald Trump was an existential threat to this democracy. That was their line. That word existential was like the $1 million word in 2024. He's an existential threat to the democracy. It was the Democratic talking point, and everybody was using it. Well, that argument about Donald Trump being an existential threat to the democracy, as I said, didn't play. It didn't work. And now Donald Trump is, in fact, acting in ways that suggest he really is an existential threat to the democracy. But that messaging did not work in 2024. And the point that Brownstein makes is that he sees Democrats now completely scared of making that message, which is the point in real time, because they feel burned by it, that it didn't work in the 2024 elections. You see where I'm going here? So that Donald Trump is doing exactly what we thought he would do, but Democrats are afraid to use that messaging point because it did not work in 2024. And so they have not, they don't know how to respond to this authoritarianism that you and I are wrestling with, because that threat to democracy message they are now allergic to, because, again, it didn't work for them so well in 2024. There's a lot there, unpack it as you will, but I thought Ron made a powerful point, again, that I had not thought about. Democrats have really not stepped up to him on this authoritarian issue. And in real time, he continues to just run the table, as it were.
You know, and here's the thing. Establishment, the Democratic Party is losing voters, right? Because people have no faith in a party that shows that it has no ability and no desire to fight for them. You know, what people want right now is a fighter. They want somebody that is going to go toe-to-toe. They want people that are going to stand up for the rule of law, for what's right versus wrong. And Democrats are too busy trying to appeal to their donors than they are to the actual people that put them in office. And so my feeling right now, Tavis, is that everybody needs to step aside. I don't care. I don't want to hear from Hakeem Jeffries. I damn sure don't want to hear from Chuck Schumer. I think that they are abject failures, and that it is time for these people to move to the side with their centrist mentality, because we are living in an extremist time. And if you are not extreme about your progressive values, if you're not extreme in your passion and desire to uphold democracy, then I don't want you in office. And you sure as hell are not going to get my vote. So whether or not Democrats figure out what is their right messaging point, the people know what they want and what they don't want. And what they don't want is Donald Trump taking away their health care, making their life more expensive and harder, and then walking around militarized cities and towns. Americans don't want that. So whether or not Democrats can figure out their messaging, the people are figuring it out, what it is that they want.
I get the sense that too many Democrats, trying to figure out what the messaging ought to be. They're afraid to talk about, the threat to the democracy that Donald Trump is, even though we see it happening in real time every day. I get the sense that many of them, Democrats, that is, are waiting for Trump's tariffs to produce the kind of inflation that they believe will tank Republicans in the midterms. So they're sitting back and they're sort of waiting to let him implode. And to your point, that's really the Chuck Schumer, frame. Schumer believes that Donald Trump eventually is going to go too far, that he's going to implode, and that Republicans will eventually see the light. Again, I think that's stuck on stupid, if you ask me, with all due respect to Mr. Schumer. But that's my read. That's my sense of it, my feel of it, that Democrats are just waiting for these tariffs to raise inflation. We see, black unemployment go up. As I've said many times, we are the canary in the coal mines. The numbers for black unemployment are sky high. They're getting sky high for black women. Everybody's watching the unemployment rate of black women in particular. So I'm sensing this wait and see attitude. Is that what you're feeling?
I mean, I think that it's a wait and do nothing attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're waiting in to see more of what. Right? Like, we're moving into a place of no return. The damage that Donald Trump has done in 8 months is generational. So I don't know what it is that Democrats are waiting for. And frankly, if you really want to be real about it, the Republicans dropped their plan like a Bond villain in a bound book. So if you couldn't figure out what the moves were, they actually wrote it out for you in 900 pages. All you had to do was then figure out, what does the law say for us to push back on point 1 through 900? But Democrats standing around like, we can't figure out how they're still ahead. They literally wrote it.
That they did. That they did. More with Danielle Moodie when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Chicago may be next for National Guard deployment, claiming locals support the move.
We could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us.
He blasted Illinois and California leaders as incompetent and credited troops in LA for saving the 2028 Olympics. Chicago's mayor and Illinois' governor strongly oppose federal intervention. Police in Prince George's County, Maryland are searching for black 19-year-old Dakara Rose Thompson, missing for more than 10 days now. Her car was found abandoned with belongings inside. Anyone with information is urged to call police. And Steph and Aisha Curry are teaming up with Martin Luther King III to launch Realize the Dream in Oakland, California. Their nonprofit transformed MLK Junior Elementary and pledged 100,000 volunteer hours to support local kids. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have some explaining to do. A report came out late Wednesday claiming Kawhi Leonard was paid $28 million for an endorsement deal with a company that used to be owned by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. The report said the company filed for bankruptcy in March of this year. Also in the report is verification that Leonard never did any work for the company. The so-called endorsement deal is being viewed as an attempt by Ballmer to bypass the NBA salary cap. If this is true, the $28 million would be additional income for Leonard on top of his 4-year contract that pays him an average of $44 million a year. The Clippers issued a strong statement denying the allegations. The NBA has launched an investigation. The NFL regular season kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys are in Philly to take on the defending Super Bowl champions. 5:20 p.m. kickoff on NBC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways, and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Danielle Moodie of the Danielle Moodie Show on YouTube. Let me put two finer points on a couple things that Danielle and I've discussed already in this hour. Leave it to my audience. I love this. I say all the time, I am humbled and grateful to have this national audience, and it's a really, really bright audience. I say this with humility, but my sense is that if you curate a smart show, you're going to build a smart audience. That's how it works. It ain't rocket science. You curate a smart show every day with smart guests, you're going to get a smart audience. And I'm always just tickled by listeners across the country who pay attention to what we're saying and send me the information that oftentimes I don't have at my fingertips. That's a long way of saying that I mentioned moments ago that I don't know exactly how much money they're spending in D.C. For this takeover by the Trump administration, but we know it cost $127 million plus for what they did here in Los Angeles. And so leave it to a number of our listeners to send me the information. Experts are estimating that the National Guard deployment in D.C. is costing roughly $1 million a day. $1 million a day for this takeover in D.C., and nobody is talking about all the money that's being wasted here. And, of course, that money belongs to you and me. That's taxpayer money. And so we, the demos, spending $1 million a day on this drama in the nation's capital, and now he's talking about going to New Orleans. So the second thing I want to put a finer point on, Danielle was talking about what Democrats want, what lay people want. They want to see some fight back. And fight back as juxtaposed against Democrats with this sort of wait and see if these tariffs are going to raise inflation so high that becomes Donald Trump's, and Republicans' undoing in the midterms. Meanwhile, they're stealing more seats, as we see in redistricting in Texas. And so here we are in California trying to stave off that reality by making sure that those five Republican seats that Texas added, that we can balance that with what we may do here in November when we go to the polls to give Gavin Newsom and Democrats here the authority to redraw the lines here and add more Democrats to our delegation in Congress. We'll see how that works out in November. But Danielle was talking about the fight back. I want to just read a paragraph here, and there are two things in this paragraph I want to ask Danielle about. I'm always reading for this show every day. This is a piece by Ed Kilgore, who's a brilliant strategist for The Intelligencer. So you want to read this piece from the beginning to the end. It's called "Democrats Can't Afford to Ignore Trump's Creeping Fascism." That's the title of the piece. Democrats can't afford to ignore Trump's creeping fascism. I recommend it to you for your reading. It's, again, by the political columnist for The Intelligencer, Ed Kilgore. Just one paragraph here, Danielle, I want to read right quick. He's talking about Trump's tunnel vision. He says, but there's a big problem with Trump's tunnel vision. Trump no longer represents a prospective threat to democracy, who might fail to follow through on all his thuggish authoritarian rhetoric, just as he often did during his amateurish first term. Depending on how you view his trajectory, he poses at the very least an imminent danger to democracy. He said prospective earlier. It's not prospective anymore. An imminent danger to democracy, and is arguably in the process of converting America into an authoritarian regime. Nearly every step he has taken since November, from building an administration stuffed with MAGA shock troops to relentless, almost hourly claims of new presidential turf, to unprecedented assaults on private businesses and universities, to the rapid deployment, of a national police force, shows that something like Viktor Orban's Hungary, formally still a democracy, but under rigid one-party control, is Trump's goal. Let me repeat that. Formally still a democracy, but under rigid one-party control. Let me stop right there in this paragraph, because that's part of what I wanted to get to. That's his goal. And I think we're headed in that direction where we will still, on paper at least, formally be a democracy, but under rigid one-party control. That's what Ed is arguing that Trump's goal is. One, what do you think of that? And number two, if he accomplishes his goal, if he achieves his goal, what does that mean for the democracy, Danielle?
Well, I mean, one, I agree wholeheartedly with his piece, and that is the goal. That has always been the goal. I mean, this is why you have Donald Trump saying to Republicans, no, I don't need 5 seats in Texas. Now I need 100 seats across the country because I want to have, generational control over Congress, right, moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So Donald Trump has said this. Republicans have said this. We should take them at their word. They are moving in that way. What happens to a democracy when you have one party? Well, guess what? You don't have a democracy. You have a dictatorship. And your rights are being bargained away with each case that the MAGA-fied Supreme Court hears. They have one coming up again on voting rights to limit the votes of people. So we're in a very dangerous place as a country, and we have to decide if Donald Trump's power grab is inevitable or if we're going to do something about it.
Yep. So Hungary is the example. Again, that's what Donald Trump's goal is. Ed argues, I don't think he's wrong, that we will remain formally on paper a democracy, but under rigid one-party control. And as Daniel just laid out brilliantly, if you're rigidly under one-party control, guess what? You ain't got a democracy. And so that's where we're headed. And I love the piece that Ed wrote and brought this out. The other thing that Ed points out in this piece, he says it's no accident then that Democrats most focused on the fight against Trump's authoritarianism are becoming rapidly more popular with the rank and file. And there are a list of names here of persons, a couple in Congress, some outside of Congress, like J.B. Pritzker, who we mentioned earlier, who are becoming more popular with the rank and file, with the base, even Gavin Newsom for that matter. They're becoming more popular because they are taking the fight to Donald Trump, and they're calling it what it is, a wannabe dictator. And so it's those Democrats showing up in that way that are becoming more popular by the day, and I might add, raising money. To your point, respectfully, it's not Hakeem Jeffries, it's not Chuck Schumer. There are other people. So I don't know where that leads us, where that takes us, Danielle. But again, there's evidence here that those Democrats who are not afraid to take on this fight are the ones who are gaining most in popularity and raising the most money.
I mean, that is true. And again, it's because the people want fighters. Whether or not you win is not honestly, it's not even the goal right now. It's just to say that we are waking up, we see what's happening, and we're pushing back. If you can't stop authoritarianism, then you can sure as hell slow it down. And that should be the goal right now. And that's not what the establishment is doing. You just named the few, right? And I would add Tim Walz into that, and Kathy Hochul to a certain extent here in New York, where I am, that are saying we're banding together and we're going to do what needs to get done in order to protect our state and our people. And that's what the people want, and they will reward those that follow along suit.
You make a point now that makes me ask the following question: how do we read the fact that whatever leadership is present inside the Democratic Party in this moment seems to be coming from municipalities and from states, not from those members of Congress, by and large?
I mean, because again, it is red states that have paved the way for states' rights, right? Like every racist, misogynistic thing that they have done, they've always hid behind states' rights. And now it's blue states that are waking up and saying, wait a minute, if they were able to do this to limit a woman's access to an abortion, then we can absolutely do this to limit the power of the federal government inside of our states. We don't have to cooperate with them when we believe that they're moving against the Constitution and our democratic sensibilities. And so I think that we need to see more of it because, frankly, those that are in Congress right now, they can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, no, it is telling, as I said a moment ago, that the leadership, however one defines that Democrats are showcasing these days is happening more at the state and local level than it is at the federal level. Take that as you will. When we come forward, I do want to ask Danielle what her read is of the limited options. I think that's the right way to put it, the limited options to block the GOP spreading redistricting efforts that we mentioned a moment ago. So we're doing what we're doing here in California. But when Donald Trump says, thank you for those 5 seats in Texas, now I need more. And you have other legislatures now that are playing the same game that they played in Texas quite well, I might add. So you have other states, red states, that are doing the same thing now. And now we got this race to the bottom, right? How do Democrats, how do blue states keep up with what's happening in red states that might ultimately give Donald Trump far more than the 5 seats he just picked up in Texas? They have limited options, but how do they block these efforts to grow the number of seats, Republican seats in the House, so that you end up with what we were just discussing, a democracy on paper, but under rigid one-party rule? You're listening to Danielle Moodie on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Danielle Moodie, host of the Danielle Moodie Show on YouTube, co-host of As the World Churns, and co-host of Democracyish podcast. She's a busy sister. Grateful for this hour with her. So I was asking a moment ago, Danielle, how Democrats respond. How do they keep up with Republicans and their redistricting efforts to grow the numbers of Republicans in the House? It's one thing to fight a fair fight, but when these legislatures are now around the country going to attempt to carbon copy what they did in Texas, to continue to expand the number of seats that Donald Trump is demanding they give him. He demanded those votes in Georgia. They couldn't quite do that for him. They couldn't find the votes in Georgia that he demanded that they find. But they are, in fact, responding to his call to increase the number of Republicans in the House by frankly, just bastardizing this whole notion of what it means to do earnest redistricting. What are the Democrats' options? How do they block it? How do they fight back?
I think that Democrats need to continue to work in lockstep with one another, and I'm talking about the blue states. I'm talking about those governors, and I think that every decision needs to be made as a collective, as if they are operating outside of the bounds of the federal government. And so if red states are going to be adding seats, then blue states need to do the same. And frankly, they have more people and they have the ability to actually add more seats. And so do I want gerrymandering on either side? No. But if Republicans are not going to play by any set of rules, then we need to figure out a new game.
And what's that new game look like? And I ask that because I'm not naive about this, but as I said earlier, this has become for me a race to the bottom. When ain't nobody playing by the rules, when there are no principles at all, where do we end up?
I mean, I think that we end up where we are right now, which is the divided states of America. I mean, you just saw this week, it was yesterday, I think, that 3 of the Western states are deciding that they're going to create their own health alliance because they no longer trust the politicized CDC. I mean, where are we headed? We're headed towards a splintered and fractured America. And whether that actually results in a violent civil war, only time will tell. But we are in the midst of a slow secession right now of multiple states.
Yeah. My friend Connie Rice, one of our regular contributors, says all the time that the Civil War in this country never really ended. It never really ended. And I can hear Connie basically in my ear now saying, I've told you repeatedly, it never ended. And what you're witnessing right now is it ramping up once again. That's the point that Danielle is making. We don't know where this is headed ultimately, but it feels like the Civil War that never ended is ramping up once again. I digress on that. For now, I remain in moments with Danielle Moodie when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more. all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Danielle Moodie. I offer this as the exit question. We got about 2.5 minutes left here. Let's see what Danielle makes of this. Are you seeing any evidence? I would like to end this conversation on a hopeful note, if I can. Are you seeing any evidence that suggests to you at all that Democrats have a plan or even the possibility of recapturing the House majority in 2026?
I do not have faith in the Democrats, Tavis, but I have faith in the people of this country. And I continue to have faith that the people of this country will decide not to support Republicans, regardless of whether or not the Democrats pull together a full plan and campaign. I think that the people, which is why Donald Trump is working overtime to gerrymander, because he can no longer trust his base to come out and vote for him because he's failing them miserably. So I have faith that the people will make the changes that are necessary.
And so you think it is the people that ultimately save the democracy?
Yes.
Yeah. I want you to be right about that, Danielle. I really, really.
So do I.
Yeah, I want you to be right about that. And I guess as I think about it, my concern is that people are so in some ways turned off to what's happening. I mean, yes, it is true. My phone just pinged just now. It is true that our phone pings every 5 minutes with some new breaking news about this particular administration. But I think people are just sort of over it in this moment. And I also think that people sense that, that Donald Trump is a runaway freight train. And at this moment, at least, we have seen the ability of no one to essentially stop him. And I wonder sometimes whether or not those people that you're referencing, the demos, still believes that it has the agency to stop this. Donald Trump is moving in ways where it just appears again that he's a dictator already, and that he can't be stopped. And the Supreme Court, every time he's in trouble, rescues him, as I've said 1,000 times. So I guess I'm concerned about whether or not the people still believe that they really have the power, that they have the agency to stop this runaway freight train.
I mean, I pray that they do. I think that we see with every march and protest that has been organized over the last 8 months that each one is bigger than the last one because more and more people are recognizing that no one is coming to save them, that they need to save themselves, that they need to link arms and build community, that it is very much us against them.
Yeah. Nope, you're right about that, and I hope you're right about the fact that the people will come to their senses and stop this nonsense in 2026. We shall see. For now, Danielle Moodie, good to have you back on the program as always. Thanks for your insights. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Chicago may be next for National Guard deployment, claiming locals support the move.
We could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us.
He blasted Illinois and California leaders as incompetent and credited troops in LA for saving the 2028 Olympics. Chicago's mayor and Illinois' governor strongly oppose federal intervention. Police in Prince George's County, Maryland are searching for Black 19-year-old Dakara Rose Thompson, missing for more than 10 days now. Her car was found abandoned with belongings inside. Anyone with information is urged to call police. And Steph and Aisha Curry are teaming up with Martin Luther King III to launch Realize the Dream in Oakland, California. Their nonprofit transformed MLK Junior Elementary and pledged 100,000 volunteer hours to support local kids. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have some explaining to do. A report came out late Wednesday claiming Kawhi Leonard was paid $28 million for an endorsement deal with a company that used to be owned by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. The report said the company filed for bankruptcy in March of this year. Also in the report is verification that Leonard never did any work for the company. The so-called endorsement deal is being viewed as an attempt by Ballmer to bypass the NBA salary cap. If this is true, the $28 million would be additional income for Leonard on top of his 4-year contract that pays him an average of $44 million a year. The Clippers issued a strong statement denying the allegations. The NBA has launched an investigation. The NFL regular season kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys are in Philly to take on the defending Super Bowl champions. 5:20 p.m. kickoff on NBC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA